Starting something is one thing, but making it a success and growing it and scaling it is a completely different thing.
We started the order and realised, oh my gosh, like this is intense. Like how are we going to be able to do it?
We did everything ourselves. We had zero support. We spent nothing on social media or advertising or marketing. It was a crazy experience. We turned our house into a factory.
Every room ended up being like a different production room.
Hello there, and once again, welcome back to the NatWest Business Show. I'm your host, Angellica Bell, and this season we're talking to bold business owners who have fearlessly carved out their own paths. Joining us this week are co-founders and real-life partners, Zara and Zak of Delhicious Body. Delhicious Body is a natural, cruelty-free beauty brand proudly rooted in Indian heritage. Using Ayurvedic principles and recipes, they have acquired huge success online, and I'm thrilled to be speaking with them right now. Welcome, Zara and Zak.
Hi, thank you so much for having us.
Good to have you here. And before we get into your incredible business journey, you have to confess, but only a business confession. Something that you've learned along the way, a valuable lesson, maybe a business blunder that has helped you and propelled you to where you are now. So what confession do you have for us?
So we've got a pretty big one, actually. So in our first year, we took on an order of 100,000 units of our product.
100,000?
100,000.
In your first year?
In our first year. And at this point, bear in mind, we are still operating from home, making 100 products at a time. So we took this order on. It was a crazy experience. We turned our house into a factory. We had 25 pallets on our driveway at any given time. We had a marquee in the garden. We had to bring in...
You had a marquee for your products?
We did.
That's the first time I've ever heard that.
We did.
Usually marquees are for parties, but they're for products.
We ran out of space in the house.
Oh my goodness.
So we literally were just like every room ended up being like a different production room. And obviously we took on the order, not actually saying that we can, this is the confession.
You didn't have a setup.
We didn't have a setup. We took on the order.
So you had, the order comes in and you're like, yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah. We were like, yeah, we got it. We've got it. We can do this. And then we started the order and realized, oh my gosh, like this is intense. Like how are we going to be able to do it? So literally like we had to get like industrial machines in. One room was like our filling room. One room we were heat sealing. Like we had to move our furniture out. Like it was just insane. And it was over summer, thank God, which is why we had the marquee in the back. So we could like put some stock there.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was just insane. And
Did you feel overwhelmed though? Did you think, what have we done? Because even I wasn't there and I'm like, I probably would have just run away.
We did. You know what? We didn't realize what we'd signed up for until we actually started to plan and figure out how we're going to do this. Because obviously making 100 products in your kitchen is easy, but making batches of 5,000, 10,000 in industrial mixers and volumetric filling machines and industrial sealing machines, etc., is a completely different ballgame. But I guess we somewhat knew what we were setting ourselves up for. But it was just a crazy experience. We had to get support from friends and family. I was still working full time. So for me, I'd come home from work until
like shirt and tie off
till midnight.
Really?
Yeah, and we had our girls were really small. We've got 2 girls. I think they were like 2 and 1, and it was just like that intense moment of like when you're like still in that toddler phase and you're so like sleep deprived, and then you're still doing everything. Like there was no escape from that order. But just a bit of backstory, that the reason we took the order on is it was for one of the largest beauty boxes in the UK. So we thought if we can get our product into 100,000 people's hands, like why would we not do that? Because it's such a competitive market.
So it was an order you couldn't really turn down.
Yeah, absolutely. We thought we couldn't turn it down.
Yeah, completely. And for us, it wasn't about the money. It was more about the exposure.
Yeah.
Given it's our first year, we're in a highly saturated market, and it worked for us. It did really well.
Yeah.
Okay, so but what's interesting also about your story, which I can't wait to find out more about, is that you both don't come from professional business backgrounds. You were a teacher, you've done different things, recruitment and all sorts of stuff, but you already had sort of this business focus. I mean, to think like that long term and to put yourself under that much stress with a young family, you had sort of like a business vision.
I guess you could say that. I mean, we didn't come from business backgrounds. It was something we always had in the back of our mind. We were kind of always a bit entrepreneurial, but never started anything, but just thought it'd be really nice to just have something that's our own. And the way the business started was just a really authentic way. Like, we didn't even think we'd end up in the beauty space. The reason we started is because when I was pregnant, I developed a dry skin problem. It was kind of like an eczema related to pregnancy. And the doctors would just prescribe steroids. So for us, it was just like, for me, I didn't want to use anything that wasn't natural. So we ended up making one product, which was our body scrub, and that started it all. But yeah, we don't come from beauty backgrounds, like never worked in the beauty industry. I worked for a small business when I graduated, and that was really helpful because when you're working for a small business, you're just kind of thrown into everything. Yeah. So that was helpful. But yeah, I was a teacher for 7 years before we started.
Yeah, and I guess similar to Zara, when I graduated, I went on to a few graduate programs in the corporate space, did recruitment for a few years, went into asset management in various kind of project program management roles, very different. But I guess, as Zara said, we've always had, I guess, a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit. We've always wanted to do something. And for us, the timing was right when this landed.
So where did that come from? Family, or it was just in you?
Well, you come from like a family of entrepreneurs, right? Your dad was in business.
Yeah, I guess entrepreneur is a unique word for that for that kind of generation. I guess it was more. I mean, my dad was a shopkeeper, so it's very traditional, old school type of business, bricks and mortar, one unit. I don't know if it stemmed from that, to be honest. I didn't see too much of that growing up, but I guess it's more just stemmed from our upbringing. We've always had quite normal lives, I'd say, kind of hand to mouth type of lives. Education has been at the forefront of everything that has been pushed on us in terms of our parents. So education is the priority. It's everything. And we both went down the educational routes. And I guess part of that helped us to, I guess, think outside of the box a little bit.
And all those experiences, you would have taken things from it.
Yeah.
To help you and to give you maybe the confidence. Because I think anyone who goes into business is brave, because I sit back and I'm like, gosh, I have these ideas. I wish I had that. But you think that anyone could go into business. So what advice would you give to anyone who hasn't got the experience of that background?
I always say, like, you definitely don't need to have experience in that particular industry and whatever it is that you're going into. Like, we end up in beauty. Like, we end up with a beauty brand. Like, if you had spoken to us like 10 years ago, we'd have been like, that's never going to happen. Like, why would we go into beauty? I think you do have to be really passionate about whatever. It sounds really cliche to say that, but you have to be passionate about the industry that you're going into. And you definitely don't need any experience to start, just because you can have the skill set without realizing that you have the skills already to be able to start a business. So, I mean, I always say that. I just think anyone can start it.
So passion, drive, self-belief, and just go for it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I make it sound like it's really easy.
Yeah, I'm like,
just
after I finish today, I'm just going to get on it.
I mean, what I would say is starting something is one thing, but making it a success and growing it and scaling it is a completely different thing. And we're on that journey. We're still in that journey where we learn things every day. And I guess that's the beauty of it. We're kind of outside of our comfort zone every day.
Right, and that feeling sort of just is inspirational for you. You're like...
It is. It's a buzz. You get a buzz out of it. We learn every day. And we're passionate about what we do, which I guess helps drive the success.
Yeah, I think if you know your why, and for us, it was, we're starting something in an industry which is very underrepresented. Like we are like an ethnic minority. We're starting, we're an Indian brand, and that's not something that you see in mass market so much.
Did that put you off? Or a little niggle to see like, okay, we're going into sort of uncharted territory here?
No, do you know, I think it was kind of like, why isn't it there? And let's do it. I think it was just like, it absolutely needs to be there. Indian beauty is something that is coming. Like, we firmly believe it in the same way that K-beauty has come. Like 5 years ago, people wouldn't have heard of terms like glass skin and Korean beauty, but now it's like everyone's doing it. And we firmly believe that Indian beauty has a space for that. So I don't think it was off-putting. If anything, it was more exciting because we were like, we can create something that's like, it's modern, it's fun. It's not your typical like Ayurvedic brand that people kind of associate with like yoga and like possibly like an older market. We're like really fun. We have like bright like pink colors and we're affordable. Like, so we knew that there was a space for it, and I think that's probably what made us more confident.
Yeah. So even though beauty is quite saturated, like you said, Zak, you saw sort of a space to sort of grab hold and just, fit that space.
Yeah, definitely. And I always say this. I just think even if a market is crowded, there's still enough space for you. Like, I don't think people should be put off. Like, you can absolutely take a piece of that pie. Like, why not? Just try.
And like you said, if you've got the passion, bit of luck, it should work out. Let's talk about the fact that you two are husband and wife. What's it like working together? There must be positives and negatives. So let's explore that.
There are. I guess we have the odd argument.
I love when you say odd.
The odd argument.
Odd.
I mean, to be fair,
I was like going, okay.
To be fair, it was more frequent.
It.
To be fair, it was more frequent initially, but I think we've got a pretty strong foundation in terms of our relationship at home, which I guess breeds quite a healthy ground in terms of business and how we operate. And we both bring different skills to the table, and we're very much aware of our strengths and weaknesses, and they complement each other. So I think it works really well. We make it work.
Yeah, I think there was like a teething period, wasn't there? Like, where we were learning, because obviously we were married and then we started a business, and you're now looking at your partner in like a work capacity. So it's like, oh, like, I didn't know that that's how you do things, or I don't know. But I think over time we've definitely, like, we know each other's strengths. Like, for example, our roles are getting a lot more clearer now, and that like helps. Like, I'm just always in awe of how amazing he is at his negotiation. Like, when there's like a sales deal coming through, he's amazing. I'm just like, oh my God, that's like, you own that. Like, he has.
Oh, this is beautiful. I'm like, listen, this is beautiful.
Hard to believe.
Honestly,
Hard to believe. I'm like,
No,
really?
no.
It's the first time you've
Is
heard
that
this.
me? It is.
just like I think
is,
like
to be
I
fair.
think you bring like a really you bring so much. He brings so much to the business in a way that I couldn't, because I'm not strong on that side.
But vice versa. Like, for example, if we look at our growth on social media, Zara single-handedly done that. I couldn't have done that. So we have our roles in areas that we look after, which we're good at and which we own, and it works.
Yeah.
I feel like you're renewing your vows right now and I'm instigating it.
I don't even think we actually say it enough out loud.
What? Yes,
but we should. We definitely should. Like, we should recognize each other's. I think we've always been such a good team, and that's just not just outside the business as well.
Yeah.
Like, we're parents. I think he's like an amazing husband, an amazing father. So
oh my God, this
for
is
me,
amazing.
it's like
Literally like
like I don't think we
tears.
say
I
it
know, I'm
enough.
going to start crying in a minute.
I don't think we say it enough.
But it's interesting that you can separate, that relationship with the business model that you've got, but recognize that strengths and weaknesses are what's going to help your business thrive, and also accept that sometimes you're going to get things wrong, but you've still got to work together, because sometimes that's what some people I think would be put off with.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people's weaknesses you don't want to sort of just accept,
especially
or
if it's
acknowledge.
family.
Yeah,
especially if
it's
it's family.
personal.
And actually, when people say things to us like, "Oh, I'm going to go into business with a friend or a family member," we're kind of like, "Are you sure?" Like, "Oh, you need to know that person inside out to start a business together." And we do. We know each other inside out. So I think that's why it works. But it does consume us. Like, we don't really separate our business from our personal. Like,
Yeah. But I think part of it is also the stage that we're at with our business. We're still small. It's still pretty much just us. And as we kind of build out the team and start scaling up, that will help, because I think that naturally will help us put the business to the side when we're kind of spending personal time together.
Yeah, actually, I didn't ask you about, have you moved the machinery out of your house?
Yep.
Oh my God, we just got rid of it as soon as that final
So
pallet
at least
went.
that's out of the way. Well, Zak and Zara, we're going to take a little bit of a break in proceedings. This is called Trending Takes, okay? So the team have been scouring the web for topics, tweets and talking points to get you thinking, to create a different sort of discussion. Are you up for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
Right. Trending take number 1. Emotional intelligence is a critical skill for CEOs.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's so important to have that deeper understanding for your team, having that compassion and understanding the business on a compassionate level. Like, it's not just business. There's different layers to it. So I agree.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of a CEO running a firm, they are responsible for creating this power team, and they need to be emotionally intelligent to make that power team work and become a power team, right? So absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and that must, when you recruit and when you have people working for you, you must think, let's show them respect and stuff for them to work for the business.
Completely.
Definitely.
Don't wait to go viral.
Yeah, don't wait to go viral, because I think people have this obsession now with going viral, like small businesses. But actually going viral, I think people don't realize that, yeah, there's pros. You're going to sell out and, you're going to get all those sales in. But there's a negative side of it as well, where that might just be your peak. And then after that, you might have bought a whole load of stock in and then you're waiting to go viral again. And then you're getting trapped into a system, into an algorithm, essentially. And your business needs to be outside of an algorithm. Like, don't wait to go viral.
But you can see why some people think that, because it's getting that audience, isn't it? It's a bit, isn't it a bit like that 100K order?
Yeah.
You just think, do you see what I mean?
Yeah, but I think sometimes you can go viral for the wrong reasons. Like sometimes there's videos that are blowing up, but it's not actually even representing what it is that you wanted to represent. And you might sell out and then feel that stress as well. And then you might not get that virality again. It's that you're constantly chasing something that might not happen.
Yeah, that high might not be achieved again.
Exactly.
So still have the passion and know your why to keep going.
Exactly. It may never come. So don't wait.
Okay, and that wraps up Trending Takes. Thank you so much. And if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, let us know what you think in the comments below. Listen, as mentioned before, Delhicious Body is about Indian heritage. It's rooted in that. You're passionate about it. So let's talk about that and how it shaped your business.
Yeah, so the way that we have grown up, and I think a lot of South Asian people relate to this, is natural remedies are literally ingrained in us. Like we grow up with them. It's not just us, there's so many other cultures that are like that. But the way that Delhicious initially started was my grandmother is from Delhi in India, and she was known as like a natural healer. So her remedies, her ingredients, and a lot of the things that she would formulate was actually shared amongst not just family, but outside the family. And just kind of growing up with that, it was something that it's so natural to us. But the more we talk about it, the more we realize that people actually don't use natural remedies or they don't use these ingredients. And that was a lot of where Delhicious stems from. We were like, we want to bring those natural remedies, natural ingredients, and just kind of share them with the world and show that they can be a solution for any kind of hair or skin problem. And that's why we're called Delhicious, because it's a play on the word on the city of Delhi.
And so were you using some of these remedies when you were pregnant? You said you had, skin problems. So was that what triggered it? You were like, I'm going back to these old remedies my grandmother taught me, that's, ingrained in our family. So let me get that out there.
Yeah, exactly. The way that the first product was formulated, it's actually quite a unique formulation because we ended up sourcing Indian tea from the plantations in India. And even when we were sourcing them, the people were like, what are you using this for? And we were like, we're going to use it for a skin product. So it was quite a unique ingredient. And I think that's what makes us different. We do like to use unique Indian ingredients and use them in an innovative way, and combining them with other kind of natural, well-known ingredients at the same time. But yeah, it's kind of like something we've really grown up with. Like it's very ingrained in the culture. When you've got a stomach ache, it's fennel seed, and it's things like that we just it's our go-to. So we just knew that we could formulate it into something that was powerful and share it with the world.
So what advice would you give to people listening now who think, I've got a new product and I want to put it out there. How shall I do this? How can I get people to invest in it and buy into it?
I think it's really important to know the market well, like know the industry. I think some people, when they launch products, they don't realize it might be something out there that's very similar. And know your USP around your product as well. That's so important. Like if you don't know what makes your product, that one thing that's different, it can change everything for you.
One thing that fascinates me about Delhicious Body is your commitment to causes, especially stopping human trafficking in India, because you put 10% of your profits towards helping that cause. Why was that so important to you? Obviously, we know why it's important, but, when you're setting up a business, sometimes, that wouldn't be at the forefront of someone's mind until they were more established.
For us, because our brand is rooted in the Indian culture and the heritage, as well as our ingredients coming from there, we wanted to give something back. And obviously, trafficking of women in India is a big problem, especially on tea plantations. So we wanted to make sure that we have something that is giving back to the culture and the country.
Yeah, definitely. I think it comes back to brand values. Like when you start a business, what are your brand values? And for us, that was pretty much at the forefront of what we do, like ethics and like social responsibility. It's important. Like I think when you're a small business, that's what makes you different to bigger corporations, I guess, which have reputations potentially of, maybe social responsibilities comes a bit later, and you think about that later with the bigger company. Smaller businesses, I think you start with your brand values, you build them out, and ethics should be at the forefront. And hopefully that's something that you plan for in advance.
So you think Cause and Perfect really helps you connect with your market as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's so important. Like especially with a brand like ours, which is Indian, but us, that was kind of like Zach said, it's the first thing we thought of when we were sourcing our ingredients. And it comes through in everything we do. With every supplier we work with, we have standards. And I think that's so important. And it's part of your brand values.
So if anyone is thinking of having a cause within their business, it's about authenticity and looking at how it links to your brand to make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's so important to be authentic to who you are and what you represent as a brand. And so what is it that you support through your business?
Yeah.
And I think for us, there's a deeper meaning to it because it's not something we talk about and it's not something that we shout about. And we've been asked, why don't you talk about this more? And we don't want it to come across as a bit of a sales tactic. We don't want to get into people's hearts to then sell products. For us, there's a deeper meaning to it. It's more personal and it's more ingrained in our business, and we don't really talk about it.
Yeah.
So maybe you saying one piece of advice is that even if you want to do it, think about how much you want to talk about it. Maybe it's something that's important to you, but you don't necessarily have to tag it onto the brand.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that you have to do.
Yeah, it comes down to the meaning. I mean, for us, there's a deeper meaning to it, and I guess there's a place in our heart to do something right. We get success and we want to share that success and give back to an extent.
Yeah.
So there's that giving back element to it. But I know, obviously, you see a lot of brands and they support a lot of causes and they talk a lot about it, and you get a bit of feeling that this is more about sales than good.
Yeah, definitely.
But for us, it's the opposite. We'll not talk about it and we'll do it behind the scenes. But obviously, we have shared it, and it does get received really well by our community.
Yeah, and I think we grew up in this country, but our parents didn't. Like our parents were, first generation, they were immigrants, and I think we saw how hard they worked and had to work in a new country and raise us, and it wasn't easy. So I think we are very aware of our culture, we're aware of our roots, and it's something that is always important to us, and we recognize our privilege as well. So it's something that was just ingrained for us at the beginning of when we were starting the business.
And we're going to talk about your social media in a second, but you have put, where you source your ingredients on social media. When you see those people working so hard and what they have to do, the processes they do. And I think it's really good to see that and to understand where these products come from, the work that goes into it, and, the passion even at that level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't realize that this is literally, it's hand-picked tea. It's been collected. The leaves are collected by women, and, it's hard work. And it's so important to recognize and share that. And that's something I'm really passionate about on socials. I just think it's so great to show that journey of how that ingredient got there. And it really does open up people's eyes because they're like, oh, I didn't realize. Because obviously you see it at the end when it's all packaged up looking great on your shelf, super easy for you to pick up and purchase. But how did it get there? So it's such an important piece.
Yeah, no, 100%. And social media has helped your business. I mean, literally, what was it? Here it goes. 18-second video racked up 9.5 million views.
Yeah.
You've got a huge following on TikTok and on Instagram. And as Zach said, that's really helped grow your business. So could you share some tips or learnings about building a strong brand on social media?
Yeah, I mean, I think socials has been crazy for us. And it was something that was done without a lot of strategy behind it. It was just kind of, let's join TikTok and see how it goes and just share and be really authentic about it. And that is the main thing that I always say to anybody with a small business and a small business page. Just be authentic, show the realness behind your brand instead of making it look really polished, because it's not. Like, it's so scrappy. It's always a scrappy beginning. And yeah, social media has been great for us. I mean, I really love doing it because I love showing people that side of the brand, and I love showing them just the realness of it and just talking about, and actually it was funny because when I first started TikTok, my initial thought behind it was, oh, I'll just do it as like a small business support page. Like, oh, this is where I get my printer from. And it's just very, very like simple, transparent. And I think transparency is key.
So did you teach yourself, because one of the things that people don't like about social media is that I don't know how to make a reel, I don't know how to do this and that. Did you just teach yourself, learn on the job?
I mean, I remember I was asking his nieces who were like teenagers, I was like, can you show me how to make a TikTok? They were showing me like, oh, this is how you add the music. But it's surprisingly very easy. Like there's so many tutorials out there, and you literally need like 1 or 2 more editing apps. It's very like, just set your camera up and film as you're packing an order. And that's a piece of content right there for you. It is
because
very
sometimes
easy.
it's a really simple piece of content that get the most hits. Like sometimes you think, oh, I've got to put my makeup on or do this. No, but you just want to just see real, authentic.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. It's the authenticity. And I think that's what Zara's done really well. And obviously you said there wasn't much strategy behind it, but Zara's got a really good eye for content and creativeness. And I think that has what has spiraled the success on social media. It's knowing your audience and knowing what content your audience would enjoy. And it's the authenticity that has really shone through.
Now, after your TikTok went viral, the product sold out.
Oh, it's insane.
Numerous times.
And so it's a good problem to have. But obviously, when it's gone, and you've got to start from scratch on that product. I mean, what would you have done differently? Or are you just pleased that it just had that reach and just flew off the
Do you know what? I think we see a lot of brands that use the sellout tactic to drive hype and drive sales, whereas we are kind of on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. We were selling out because it was actually sold out and we didn't have any more left. And that happened numerous times. And I think for us, it was getting quite frustrating for our customers because we used to get hundreds of emails a day saying, when's this coming back in stock? How can you be a business? How can you be out of stock so regularly?
Really?
They were getting quite annoyed and frustrated about it because
that's quite stressful.
it is, and it's not a good position to be in.
It wasn't. It's not fun to be sold out. Like
it's not. And a lot of our customers rely on our products for their skin. So for various conditions like eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis, etc. So they need our product. It's not a nice to have. It's a need.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a really good position to be in. But I think, looking back, if we knew we would get that much success through social media, I think the biggest thing that we would have done was have our supply chain in place and have a robust supply chain to be able to deal with that demand. So moving from producing 100 to 200 units at home to now producing 20,000, 30,000 lots at a time, it's a big jump. But obviously, had we known, we would have had that supply chain in place.
Yeah, but it's an unknown, isn't it? You don't know if it's going to get those views or people going to, buy into it. So you don't want to make all this product and have it lying around.
Yeah.
So it's just weighing that up, I guess,
Exactly. Yeah, to an extent. And I guess part of it comes down to forecasting and obviously what you have planned in terms of marketing initiatives, PR initiatives to then forecast some of that growth. And that's not something we were really good at. We were kind of just knee deep in operations and just getting going and just getting balms back in stock.
Yeah, that's all we used to worry about. Are they back in stock? How many have we made a week? Like we just got really stuck in the mud, and it wasn't a good place to be in because essentially you're not running your business if you're stuck in the operational side. You're just literally producing with your hands, and then that's all of your energy gone into production. And then what about the rest of it? So it was really stressful.
But I guess part of that, it highlights the really grassroots story of our business, right? We started in our kitchen. We didn't anticipate the level of growth and the level of sales. And I think that's the beauty of it, right? We didn't know, it wasn't unknown. So we had to react. And that kind of put us in kind of a high stress mode, but we learned so much along the way.
Definitely.
It's unbelievable how much we learned in the first couple of years of running this business because we did everything ourselves. We had zero support. We spent nothing on social media or advertising or marketing. Yeah. It's all just been through us and primarily Zara on the social side that has grown this business from zero to where we are now. And it's been an incredible journey and we're still just getting started. Like this is just the start for us. So there's a lot more to come.
So what systems do you have in place for the next TikTok boom?
We do have a robust supply chain now, so we can kind of ride the waves when they come, if they come. And equally, we've got quite big, bold plans. So our supply chain needs to be in line with that growth that we forecast.
Well, let's discuss these plans. What's the future for Delhicious Body? Where do you see the business in 5 years' time?
I mean, ultimately, our ambition and goal is to have our products accessible everywhere for everyone, and to have our brand sit on the shelves with some of the key retailers. So I think there's quite a few areas of what we're planning over the next kind of 3 to 5 years. So one is the right retail partnerships, being in the right store, stocked in the right locations in the right countries. 2 is worldwide.
Hopefully,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. At the second, I would say the right distribution partnerships to help us expand internationally, because obviously international markets are completely different to local markets. There might be one product that does really well here in the UK, but won't do well in the UAE, for example. So having the right partnerships to help us expand. And I'd say 3 is having a solid roadmap for new products.
Yeah,
and that's something we're really kind of on point on. We have a solid roadmap for products for the next 2 years. And not just any old products, amazing products.
Yeah, we do spend a lot of time. Like, products is everything to us. Like, if we could spend all our time just developing products, like, that is what we want to do. Like, we launched into our first hair care category with the hair oil.
Yeah.
And we were quite nervous about it because we were like, okay, we're known for our balms because of, they were viral and, everyone loves them. I think we had like a wait list of like 50,000 people at one point for the balms. So we're known for those body balms. And we were like, oh, we don't know how it's going to do. But we were also quietly confident because there's an ingredient in there it just started trending, and it's called Amla. It's like a gooseberry, and it's an Indian gooseberry. And we've been using it like since we were kids growing up. And I still, I've been using it on my own girls' hair. So we were quietly confident that the market needs a really affordable, good hair oil. We launched and we sold out. And it was insane. And I think a lot of that came from because people trust us. Like, they were like, okay, their balms are good, so their hair oil's got to be good.
Yeah.
So we went into hair care, and now we're thinking, okay, great, we're in hair care now, so let's build out that category. And it was something that we didn't actually think of when we were first starting. We didn't think, we're going to dominate body care. We were just like, okay, let's kind of make products that we know are going to work and see how it takes us. So new products definitely are on the horizon.
Yeah, and that doesn't scare you. You see it growing, and Delhicious Body just encapsulating all sorts of things with beauty.
Yeah, definitely.
It's pretty exciting.
It is. There's a lot of hard work behind the scenes.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe we're giving the wrong
I can
impression.
see, no, Zak, you were sitting there when we were talking about it going, yeah, this is what we're going to be doing.
It is a lot.
So what piece of advice, most important piece of advice, would you give to other entrepreneurs who are looking to create a strong, long-term successful brand?
I think for me, it's always going to be authentic. Whatever it is that you're doing, just be really authentic about it, because when you create something that is real, people connect with it. And that connection is very, very key. I think getting a customer for us, it's never just about buy it, leave, and that's it. We are growing a community of people that when they see our brand, they trust it because they know the people behind it. They know the efforts that's going into it. And a lot of that is built on social media, but definitely just be authentic with whatever it is that you're doing.
And I would say know your why and know your purpose, and know the market. Really dive into the market you're going in. Differentiate your product and your brand, what makes you unique, and really make that shine through, because you need to stand out. Otherwise, it's very easy to get lost or forgotten.
I like that. Know your why.
Yeah.
That could apply to lots of things, isn't it? Life, yourself, your brand, your products, things you love. Know your why. Now, to conclude this episode, we're going to do some rapid fire questions, all about business. So you have to respond quickly and succinctly. Mm-hmm. Who are your business inspirations?
Oh, I've got so many. I can't think of one person.
The one person that stands out for me is Robert Kiyosaki. Okay. He wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all about money and how to make money and where you want to be in life and what you need to do to get there. A lot of people are, I guess, what I would call stuck in a 9-to-5 trap. And that book is all about getting out of that 9-to-5 trap and how to do it and where you need to be.
Okay, Zara?
Mine is Jenna Sue and Jenna Meek, sorry. That's how I'm thinking of her Instagram. She is a founder of Refi Beauty, and I just find her really inspirational. I know her on a personal level as well now, and she's grown a brand in such an innovative, unique way in the beauty world, which is just, it's been unprecedented. I just find her so inspiring. So yeah, mine would definitely be her.
Okay. What do you most enjoy about owning and running your own business?
Flexibility, 100%.
Freedom.
One piece of advice for married couples going into business together.
Don't do it.
I knew he was going to say that. I just knew he was going to say that.
That's because you're married. You know each other inside out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, do you know what? I think it's important. My main advice would be to give each other the respect and have boundaries and have clear roles. Because when your roles start to overlap, that's when you might have issues.
The one thing you wish you knew starting out.
How important relationships are.
In what sense?
So on a personal level, so for us, obviously our marriage, how important that foundational relationship is to the success of our business. But equally on the business side, our relationships with suppliers, partners, retailers, how important those relationships are in helping to, one, convey your brand, but two, get your brand out there and get other people believing in what you're doing.
Well, your confession was agreeing to produce 100,000 products without a factory or official production line. But do you forgive yourself, regret it, or wish to forget it?
Definitely don't regret it.
I do want to forget about it a little bit. I feel like it was such a traumatic. It was tough. Like those 3 months. When I think back, I'm like, oh my gosh, that feeling. It was really difficult. So
yeah,
a little bit forget about it.
A little bit, but you wouldn't regret it because
Definitely not.
You know,
Definitely
it's helped you, propelled you in your business
Definitely
to where
not.
it is now.
And I guess a confession within a confession is part of that journey, right? We had to change our address and put unit in the front of it so that lorries would kind of think it's a business address to actually turn down our road. And then they'd get stuck when they get to our house. And I would then have to help them reverse all the way back out the road
All our neighbours watching as well.
once we'd got what we needed from them. So I guess that's another confession within confession.
That's a good confession within the confession.
It was a sly one, but we had to do it. Otherwise, they just
You
wouldn't.
could drive lorries now, maneuver them.
I mean, I probably could.
I mean, he does it all. He unloads all the pallets. You know, he does it all. Like,
So it's really hands-on, and that's what you're talking about. It's all consuming.
it is.
It has been. I mean, we've literally been like, I've unloaded container loads, I've unloaded full lorry loads of 25 pallets, for example, and you'd help me, right?
Yeah.
Like 25 kilo sacks of tea would be lifting these on our shoulders, taking them from the front to the back. We're thankfully not in a position where we're kind of involved in the manual work in our business now.
But we've also learnt now, for example, we used to get things delivered to us that weren't palletized. We didn't know what that meant. So they would just say, oh, you didn't say you wanted it on a pallet. So we would literally be unloading individual sacks, which was literally 30 kilo bags of salt, and you've got 150 of them. And the lorry would just be waiting there. We would do it. But we've learned, we're like, is it coming on a pallet? Is it wrapped? Like, we don't need to unload it manually, do it? Because we didn't know, like, that, you know, delivery terms and logistics behind running a business. We just were like, oh my God, it's come loose. Why would they do that? It's like, well, you haven't told them.
Yeah. So just learning along the way. And also you can laugh about these experiences.
Honestly.
You can. The learning was honestly invaluable to us as people, to our business.
Yeah.
Like, we got so much out of it that I don't think we think about enough.
Yeah, definitely. And
I'm loving the positivity. You're just like, like reflecting back, smiling, just going, gosh.
Yeah.
Can you believe we did that?
We did that, yeah, exactly. I still remember the feeling when the final delivery left us.
Oh my gosh,
it was like a final 15 pallets, and we were sitting downstairs and in our house on just chairs because we didn't have furniture still.
room was
We're just
empty.
like, oh my God, like what have we just done? It was honestly a crazy, crazy feeling and experience.
But you must have sat back and went, we did it.
Yeah. It was.
We did.
It was crazy.
And there's a feeling like, what do we do with our time now? It's like, what do we do?
Honestly, I was like filling bags of like scrub till like 2 a.m. and I had the girls still waking up in the night, back up at like 6 a.m. Like, it was tough. It was really hard. But no, it was worth it.
You guys are inspiring. Zara and Zak, thank you so much for talking with me today and also just sharing your story. It's incredible. And I can't wait to see what the future holds. Delhicious Body is going to take over the world. And for those of you listening at home, don't forget to hit follow and subscribe. And if you're inspired by our chat with Zara and Zak, take a little look at the NatWest website for info and tools to help you on your journey.